Welcome to Blade HQ, everybody. It's the day after National Knife Day, and it's a good day.
Yeah. I hate these mics, George. I hate these mics. Now, we want them to have a great experience and sound, but man, this feels kind of weird. Feels like I'm a boxing announcer.
Yeah, we got to hand the mics back and forth. We had a boom mic up here earlier, and the sound just, like, it could hear us all. It could hear Dallas coughing the whole time. Dude, are you done yet?
Man, it's not the Rona.
You couldn't have done it a minute ago?
It's not the vid.
Whatever. Okay. Anyway, today we're going to talk about how we got into knives. I'm George. I've been on the YouTube videos for like the last year now. And then there's Dallas.
I'm Dallas.
What do you do here?
Stuff. As little as I can.
Dallas is a buyer. Yes. A lot of your favorite brands he is a coordinated exclusives from.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You're the Boker buyer, right? So like the Kalashnikov's all on you.
Man, the Kalashnikov. Why did you have to bring up the Kalashnikov, brother? I thought we were friends. I'm excited. We actually have something in the works.
So yeah. I don't understand this about Dallas here. Dallas hates weird Kalashnikovs for some reason. And here's what I wanted. I wanted the State Fair Edition Desert Warrior, which is going to be a donut handle with the hot dog blade in it. I think that would be great. I would love it.
Why? For the love, everybody in those comments would be like, "Oh yeah, that's the one we need." And you know what? And I'm gonna love it too. Because wait till they see what I'm carrying today. Speaking of pointless and crazy knives.
Lol. All right, Theo.
I think we should probably finish our introduction.
Theo, tell us about yourself.
You guys know George, you know Dallas. I've been in a couple of videos myself. I'm Theo. I'm the graphic designer here. The new face here would be Hayden. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Hayden Thomas. I'm a copywriter here, so working on the descriptions. Currently, I haven't done really much knives yet, doing all the other stuff that we haven't been able to get to, but excited to be here. It's been a great 2 weeks so far.
He's very new, and he's very good. And we'll talk a little bit about when we talk about his story here. He's got some strong knife lineage, and I'm very excited to hear about it. So let me tell y'all how this evening's going to go down. We are going to talk about how we all got into knives. And I kind of gave y'all the little rundown. But in short, I'm going to ask you, what was your first knife? How did that impact your journey? What was the first knife you got that you really shopped for? Like, I'm a nerd now. What knife is it going to be? And then what were some important knives along the way? What are you guys laughing at?
A nerd now? Just saying. I think you are a nerd, George. Just throwing that out.
I tell you, I could not make it through a day without them laughing at something that I said that wasn't even funny. Whatever. Thanks. Okay, anyway, I also want to find out what your favorite knife is and what knife you got most recently and what knife you're currently crushing on. So I can go first if y'all are into that.
I think that you, as the usual host, should go first.
All right, I will go first. Well,
the rest of us is unusual. We'll go later.
We'll stand in.
The unusuals, whatever. Yeah, well, my knife journey began a long time ago. I was but a tot. I was 8 years old on my 8th birthday in the year of our Lord, 2005.
It was yesterday.
2005, on my birthday, I got a knife. It was a Cub Scout knife because I was starting in the Cub Scouts. It's one of those interesting ones that's like almost like a Victorinox, but it's got the liner locks on it. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And, of course, I cut myself in the first 30 minutes of owning it. But I was so happy. Then a couple of days later, my older brother was going to his Cub Scout camp, and he used to have a Cub Scout knife. But then he tried to sneak it into the conference center for a concert, and security confiscated it, and he never saw it again, which was sad. However, he's like, "Hey, can I borrow your knife and go to camp?" So he took my knife, and he went to camp, and he lost it. And my parents did not get me a new one. I have yet to lend him a knife since.
You did get a replacement, right? Like the Leatherman you got?
Yeah, so a few months later for Christmas, I did get this Leatherman right here. And I can lean forward and show this one to the C-cam here. Hopefully it'll work. Yeah, hold this mic for me, will you?
I'll hold it in your face.
We're going to learn how this whole system works. So this is the Leatherman Charge TTI. Yes, I was 8 years old when my father got it for me for Christmas. Now,
and you said TTI, right? So like the top of the line Leatherman you possibly could have gotten.
Yes. So this one has the titanium handle scales, and it also has the S30V blade. This knife, this is not what you give to an 8-year-old. But I will forever be grateful for my father who sprung for such a high quality tool to give me for Christmas. He's a really great guy. I like my dad. Yep, and that knife was my go-to for all my scout camps. It went on a 2-year adventure with me. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's been great. But near the end of my high school career, I encountered a few things. I guess in junior high, something important happened. I was perusing the internet on my very limited time, and I managed to find a website that had a link to a free catalog order from Cold Steel. And I got that thing, and I'll tell you, I read that thing like a textbook. And I'm like, Cold Steel knives are so cool. They really are. I really think Cold Steel knives are cool. And then in junior high, I was a nerd, Dallas.
I'm not afraid to say it. I was a nerd.
Yep, and everybody at school went all cartoon villain, and I was getting picked on and stuff. And then I saw this video by Lynn Thompson where he was talking about the warrior lifestyle. And looking back now, it perhaps was it waxed a little dramatic. But I saw that, and I'm like, the warrior lifestyle? And he talks about how when he was a kid, he was getting beat up, and it wasn't too long until he started to fight back. And then he started learning to be a warrior, and he's like, I don't want to fight people, but I want to know that I can, and that's why I stare down Cape Buffalo with a spear. That's why I do all this other stuff. Like, he goes on extremely dangerous hunts just so that he can prove to the world that he has the guts to do it.
Yeah.
And I would say my experience in junior high did not lead me to the gym to learn to fight. It led me to debate. In high school, I did speech and debate. And I don't mean to toot my own horn. I was pretty decent at it. Pretty okay. I was pretty okay at debate. And that's when I peaked. Yes, but near the end, I had a choir teacher. I've actually had him on a video, Mr. H. We went over his Spyderco and Benchmade collections, and he taught me all about knives. And I remember he would do his daily knife, so I had a knife in his pocket, and he would show it to me. And he's like, no, I can't spend all day talking about it because we're at school, and I have a class to teach. So, yeah. But then the 10-hour bus ride to San Francisco came along, and the sun rose, and Mr. H stretched, and I stretched as well. And he's like, George, tell me about your favorite knife. And the knife that I was carrying at the time, I got with a $25 gift card to a nameless retailer, and it had, I got a Kershaw median with it. And it's a great knife. I got it for $25, just about. And with that knife, I did all my cutting jobs. And I was like, this is a great knife. And then he pulls out his Benchmade sequel. And he's like, yeah, I really like this one. And that one at the time was going for like $150. It was kind of nuts. And I'm like, this knife is so cool. Why is it so much more expensive? And he broke down a lot of it. And one of the things he talked about was the blade steel. And I'm like, whoa, you're telling me that there's some blade steels that are just different than others? Like some that are, like, it never clicked in my head that steel grades could differ. And then I went home and I got to research and stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get my own the first knife that I researched. I picked from all of the knives that is the perfect one for me. And I came across a fixed blade that was within my budget. I want to keep it under $50 and had everything I wanted. And the K-Bar Escobar showed up. I really liked the Essie Azula. I have one now, but I couldn't afford a full Azula because it was more than $50. Mm-hmm. So I decided instead I would go with something like a K-Bar fixed blade. And I found out there was the Escobar, which had the blade of the Necker and the handle of the Azula. And it was in my budget, but there were two of them. There was one that was black and the other one that was uncoated. I'm like, well, why? And one was called the D Escobar. And there's like, well, this one's got D2 steel. It's limited edition with D2 blade steel and an uncoated blade rather than the 1095 coated. I'm like, well, which one should I get? And I'll tell you, that was a dangerous question because now I'm a giant steel nerd, and I will tell you the difference between 1095 and D2. And I decided that for this knife right here, I was better off with the D2. And I appreciate it. I spent my hard-earned $50 on this thing back in the day, and I've used it a lot. And this is probably the 5th or 6th paracord wrap I've done on it. I ground a sharp spine on it. I really do like this knife, even to this day. And I'd say for its price, the Escobar, even the 1095 one, is one of the best little fixed blades you can get. and it was just a lovely, lovely, lovely knife, and it went on so many adventures with me. Yeah, and then along the way, I found out about Blade HQ, and I liked fixed blades. I grew up like right next to a national forest, and I like to spend time in the woods. I like to baton. I like to carve stuff. I like to start fires and whatnot. And a fixed blade was just sort of the thing. But then Blade HQ came out with this video forever ago. You should go check it out. It's about lock strength. And they used a big winch to see which lock was the strongest. And I thought, they better get a cold steel in there.
I need a triad lock.
Yeah, I do love the triad lock. And this is gonna get a hot topic here, and I want to hear what y'all have to say about it. This is the opinion I developed from watching this. I watched the lockback, which was the undisputed winner of that video in strength. I watched the lockback hold while the blade broke twice. So I'm gonna ask you all in internet land as well. If the blade is going to break before the lock, the knife is effectively a fixed blade.
Equivalent to a fixed blade or fixed, but I mean, explain that.
But yes, in theory, the fixed blade is going to be stronger, yeah?
Yes.
However, if the lock of the blade is going to break before the blade, then who cares that it folds? It's not pre-broken in the middle. The thing that's going to break first is the blade, which means it's as strong as a fixed blade for what you're doing.
If the blade's going to break first and your lock is going to hold, I think we were talking a little bit about that just a minute ago before this started. You know, I would worry more about the pivot and the lock breaking before I'd worry about a blade breaking. But I saw the video. I think they did a follow up as well. They did 2 videos about the locks. Anyway, it's a cool video. I wanna do. Yeah,
want to do a rematch of it?
We got to do some more, but because we got to get like the triad and the Atlas lock.
Yeah, I want to see the shark lock in there.
I want to see the shark lock. I want to see. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff.
The super lock from Snex, because they're so similar and people are kind of comparing them recently. That'd be cool.
That'd be fun. That's a video right there.
I would like to counter the idea of them being effectively fixed. I think in my mind, if you're doing straight pulling, like if you're doing like on a winch where it's no like jostling, no torsion, like no impact or anything like that, I'd say that I would agree with that. But if you're doing something where there's like an impact and like a lock can slip, then it would be different. Because then if it slips, then it's like, well, now my blade's closed on my hands before anything like broke or the blade snapped or anything like that. So I don't know. Hayden?
Yeah, I don't really know too much about the lockbacks, but I don't know, I guess in my mind it'd be basically like a fixed blade. You know, it's in the Thomas family. You know, my dad specifically he engineers all of his locks, so I always think of they're always just way too strong.
Way stronger than they need to be, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so I'm like, you know, I always have the opinion you just need to make the lock as strong as possible, the blade as strong as possible. If something's going wrong, then there's got to be a solution to fix it. So.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm still on team lockback if I'm getting a folder because of that strength, though. Now, that said, I do really love fixed blades. I have my Azula on me right now. But I grew to appreciate the very strong locks, and that ultimately led me to finding my perfect knife. The knife that I have found that is the one I keep coming back to, and that is Cold Steel 8010 right here. And this thing, I love it so much. Its handle, the most comfortable folder I've ever held. And the blade is a nice stout S35 VN triad lock, but it's got a really slick action too. It looks good, it feels good, it is good. And I found out that Andrew is still making customs of this. So the next time he has one at Blade Show, I am going to go and I am going to buy one. And I will spend probably way more money than my wife would ever allow, but it's going to be great.
Is that something you'd rather grab the triad version over one of like the MGs or something like that, or would you prefer to have the lockback?
I'd get the triad version. I really appreciate the lockback of it.
I dig it. It's a take that I don't think a lot of people would have, and I appreciate that. Before we keep going, are we all good in terms of the cams? Is there anything we need to change in way we look? We don't want to. Okay, awesome.
No, we're good. They're just walking around back there. It's kind of freaking me out.
I just want to check. I don't want you guys to miss anything, so we just want to check.
Are the people enjoying the sound? I mean, I know we've had struggles with the sound in the past. Leave us a comment if the sound is turning out okay for you.
Yeah. Let's look at some comments.
We could speak up too
George,
if we need to, or
turn
pull
that
the mics a
around
little
to you,
closer.
George, and look at the comments.
Let's look at some comments, guys. My phone is being slow. What else is new? All right, I guess we're not looking at comments. We'll figure that out in a minute. Yeah, anyway, so that is my favorite knife, and at Blade HQ, I've come into a lot of knives, and that one has still stayed. And the knife I got most recently was my arcade. And this, I really like the arcade.
That version is sick. Like George got his like customized before like the launch of everything.
Flip it around.
His is so cool.
Well, show the camera here. George, show the camera.
Here's my arcade. The one I outfitted was the blue tritium thumb stud, the Timascus scales, and the high voltage blue anodized backspacer. And I love the arcade.
It's kind of unassuming, which is nice because like you've got like the all blacked out, but like the closer you look at it, the more you see the detail of it. Like you wouldn't see the tritium from far away, or like the Timascus, and both of it just like such a nice pop when you actually like get to hold it and look at it.
Dude, it's like those stealth cop cars where the logo on the side you can't quite see till you pass. And you're like, crap, I'm busted.
Yeah. And also, Andrew Demko designed the Shark Lock, and I love Andrew Demko. He's the man.
It's probably easy to say that he's probably like one of your favorite designers just because like his designs usually sing to you.
My top 3 designers are going to be Moletta. He's the guy for Lion Steel, designs their fixed blades. There's Andrew Demko, and there's Bob Terzuola. Those 3 guys have got my heart right now.
Bob, if you're watching, I used you as my profile picture at work for a little while. That photo of you sitting in a hotel next to a skeleton thing.
In the robe.
I used that as a profile picture because I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, Bob Terzuola. What a wonderful guy. Yeah, and then the knife that I'm currently shopping for is the Spyderco Stretch K390. Did you just trip over something, Peter?
Sorry, Peter's over there tripping on stuff. He's causing all sorts of mayhem and distractions. What a goof.
Yeah, what a goof. Anyway, I really like the Stretch because, in my idea, it's a lockback para 2. That's kind of the vibe
I think
get
that's
out
a
of it.
very fair comparison. I think a lot of people have said that.
And I love me the lockback, and I love the para 2, and I love K390 steel. From what I've read about it, its wear resistance is so good, and it's just such a great knife, and I love everything about it, and I want to buy one. And I asked my wife if I could get one for my birthday, and she said no. But it's okay. I got an archery target.
You got a what? Sorry.
An archery target.
Archery target.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my story. I'm going to hand Dallas this thing. Dallas, I want to hear your story, and in the meantime, I'm going to figure out how to work these comments.
Yeah, George, figure out the comments. First off, I want to tell you that, God, this feels so awkward and weird. It really does. With the mic.
Like this.
I
What's
mean,
up, guys?
maybe if I had it like hanging off my ear, I don't know.
We didn't finish explaining this. It's because we couldn't get the mics to work and not have it so you heard the AC and everything like that.
Yeah.
So we have to hold them super close to our mouth so you hear us correctly.
Well, and we didn't want to, and it sounded like we're talking down a barrel, an oil drum, empty oil drum, like the echo and everything. So you were talking about the lockback, right? And a lot of lockbacks you can't close with one hand. You can't open with one hand. That's where the Spyderco comes in my opinion, because you can open it and close it one-handed. That is a huge thing for me. Plus a lockback and the safety of a lockback. Brah. Okay, what are we doing? Where am I going? What am I saying?
Tell me your knife story, Dallas.
I like knives. I buy knives. I trade knives. I hide knives for my wife. Babe, I promise. It was given to me. It was free. I promise. It was free. What's this $400 charge? I was buying guns. I don't know.
Hey, so listen. This fellow over here, Kevin Jackson, just got an Ontario Rat Model 1 liner lock with the Desert Tan. Do you like that knife or something?
Oh, you mean my first knife that really I shop for? Here,
Yeah.
George. So there's my Rat. That's the R2D2. Obviously, they call it the R2D2, the Rat 2 and D2 still. It's got a lot of patina on that blade. My wife was, and anybody that's watched me on any of our videos know that my wife was digging in our garden, cutting the ground cover when I got home from work. And I was like, no, wait, yes, because it wasn't one of the better knives. So I was like, okay, cool. So, yeah, no, the R2D2, that thing there I bought. That was the first knife that I'll show you my first knife that I can remember. That was the first knife that I went and like actively looking for. That one in the leak, but that was the first one.
This is your Escobar.
Yeah, my Pablo? What?
Your Pablo.
That sounds weird.
So can I unpack one of these things you just talked about? You said that you didn't want her to be using one of your better knives.
Yeah, so when I started here, everybody. That was 3 years ago, almost to the day. 3 years ago, I retired from Department of Corrections. I got a job here a month after, like, woohoo, because I love knives and Blade HQ. But I get home from work and she's out in the, this is during the vid was going on and lockdowns and everything. And my wife's out planting bulbs in the garden. I'm like, no. And she could have grabbed my White River caper. She could have grabbed my Banter. She could have grabbed something with better steel or a better,
with more expensive materials.
Yeah, not better knife, but just a more expensive one, or maybe one that
something that might hurt a little bit more to replace.
Yeah, something that might make me cringe a little bit. But yeah, no, that was the first knife I went after. My first knife, this one here isn't it, like an idiot. I know. If my wife is watching, she knows. But it was a Leatherman. Oh, I'm so sorry, folks, for hacking and coughing. But it was a Leatherman I got back in 92.
Is that PST or is that just is this a stand-in for it?
This is just a stand-in for it, but it was the base model. Back then, I don't even know if it had a name.
I know that that one was the PST. I know that the original, more original ones. Yeah,
the original Leatherman is what I have at home. Anyway,
my dad has two. I stole it and I don't know where I put it. So I'm sorry, bye. I don't know where I put it.
Sorry, Dad.
That's probably what happened to your 51.
Okay, no, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
bring back my 51.
Yeah, give it back. I want my $2. No, but that was the first knife, knife. But I grew up farming and whatnot, and that thing there came in handy as heck. My first bow hunt, I was sitting down, crouched down, waiting for this deer to present a shot. Little forked horn, little 2-point steps out, gives me a broad shot. I draw back, let fly, hear this loud, tremendous thwack, and I'm like, woo! Deer runs off. Yeah, my arrow was stuck in the middle of an aspen tree the aspen tree is about that big around. My arrow hit right in the middle of it. The one thing I did not see between me and that deer, and I smacked it right in the middle of that tree. And my Leatherman has the tip I fixed on it, but I broke off the tip just a little bit, digging out my broadhead out of the aspen tree. But that was the first knife I can remember.
Should have just left it. That broadhead's not that expensive.
To a 14-year-old kid, it's really expensive. Then what next? Oh, here's my leak. This is the other one I kind of went after. This was a gift from a friend about the same time I got the Rat. But I got the Rat quite a few years ago. But yeah, the leak. Yeah, there's a leak that's in MagnaCut now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that the
Isn't
leak
that
has
wicked?
stayed being relevant for
You
as
talk
long as
about
it has.
staying power with some of these knives. Look at the Buck 110. 60 years? 60-ish years?
Turned 60 this year.
Yeah, 60
Dallas,
years.
you're also the Buck buyer, correct?
Well, I am, but I've been a
That's why.
I've
That's
been
why I
a
love him
buck
so much.
guy for a long time. But you look at the Buck 110. Tell me a knife. Tell me in the comments a knife that is 60-plus years old that is still relevant and sells today.
I'd like to take this
Like
opportunity to apologize.
Yes.
I think George and I did a video a long time ago about American-made knives, and both of us blanked on Opinel as an option for that kind of time period. But I think Buck is probably a little bit more known in the States than Opinel, and it's more user-friendly.
Yeah, you're right. Opinel, number 6 or number 8 is one of their best movers.
Our boy over here has got an Opinel at number 8 on his desk or in his pocket right now. He loves that thing.
Opinel's great, and the best thing is their price. It's like a Mora. You get a Mora. You spend $30 on a Mora, and then they have a knife that lasts forever, and you're like, what the heck? Anyway, what's next?
So Opinels, here's my thing about Opinels. They're very small and slicey. I say they're the perfect picnic knife. But if I had to have one knife for the rest of my life, do I want France's knife, which is the Opinel, or do I want America's knife, which is the Buck 110? I'm taking Buck. Sorry, France. I'm an American.
We did win, so.
Oh, easy. Hey. There was
They helped us.
I mean, we won between Buck and.
1777.
Yeah, all right. We're getting a little off track here, okay? We don't want to offend any of our friends, all right?
Dallas, what's your favorite knife?
Well, so favorite or newest? Favorite? So I have a toss. My toss up here, folks. So being the budget guy, so we'll start with, it's a toss up. They're tied for first. There's the first one. And I'm a budget guy. Remember that, folks.
Anybody want to take a stab at how much this one retails?
No. Let's just not take a stab. My wife will find out. But the Evo 3.0 in that, oh man, I dropped this it was in my pocket, and I was getting my keys out of my pocket, and something else was in my pocket. It snagged the knife, and it flung out of my pocket and down my driveway, slid for about 3 feet on the show side, and you can't even tell. That DLC coating, however they do it, man, that thing is just sick. And that is one of the most fidgety knives.
It is surprisingly fidgety for how heavy it is. Like, it's such a big knife, but
Yep.
it is really smooth and nice to just like flick right out. It doesn't.
And real quick, I want to bring up something I saw on the old internets there. But the Kunwu, the Padre, does it look similar? Sure. Every knife looks similar in one way or another. But they are not. They're fundamentally different in how they open, how they're a bit built. I mean, it's different, folks. Trust me. I've got pictures of it. George and I were looking at it. They're different enough that I would say they're two totally different knives.
I think it's an attainably priced one. I think that if you like the rotten, but you don't want to be able to pay $500 or $600 or whatever potential cost it could have been.
$750, Theo. $750.
Dallas's wife. It's not $750. We're just pretending it's that much. But the Padre is just it's like a more attainable version for people who
and you can
want
actually
one more
get
accessible
it.
too.
These go for a lot more than $750 right now because aftermarket. Yeah, I'll set it on the table.
Well, and to keep going further than that, I think Evo's done with them. Once they do the run, I think they're done.
Aren't they into the 4 now?
Yeah, they're moving on to the 4. So, and then my tied for first, these two live in my pocket the most. And again, I'm a budget guy, so remember that this large Sabenza 31 with the inlays is it's budget, babe. I got it at a gas station. A real budget choice. And if you know anything about Chris Reeve, they're the plant, the people who run it. So you got Tim and Ann. Oh my goodness, Ann, you just. I think she's like the mother figure for everybody in the knife world.
She's basically the Mary Poppins of the knife world.
I don't know if she's I mean, I would go there, but I'm just saying that she's like one of the sweetest people on the planet, and you talk to her, she's just friendly. And Tim's like your buddy that you you sit around a campfire and shoot the breeze with.
Yeah, when I got to go to the Chris Reeve facility, and yeah, she makes you feel really comfortable there. She she is like a mother, she gives you a big hug.
Yep.
And then, Tim's super nice. He likes to get to know you. What do you do? What kind of knives do you like? I remember just having great conversations with both Ann and Tim.
Well, if you get a chance, if you go to Blade Show, I'm not sure if they're going to be at West or not. I would imagine they are.
I haven't seen them on the list.
They might just be walking around or something. I mean, they're just up in Boise. It's a 6-hour drive, 5.5-hour drive. But if you ever get to Blade Show Atlanta or SHOT Show or anything like that, go stop by the Chris Reeve booth and just say hi to Tim, get a picture with him, talk knives. Their whole everybody there is just fantastic and fabulous people.
At Blade Show, I stopped by their booth, and they're right by Les George, and he and Les were just yakking around, shooting the breeze. And I'm like, if anything, you two are competitors. Like, you're both making the super premium USA-made folders. And then I'm like, hey, can I do a pocket check with you guys? And then they swapped knives for it. And I'm like, you guys are great.
Well, and that brings me down to the knife community in particular. I mean, you take SHOT Show and Tim. First time I met Tim was not at the Chris Reeve booth. It was he was up talking to the Italians, MKM and all the Italian, that little section there at SHOT Show. He was up there just walking around, talking to everybody, asking how everybody's doing. He passed by the Acting on Verba booth, was chatting with them, and I'm like, who is this guy? Looks like possibly like it could be Tim, but I don't know. I don't want to walk up to him and be like, hey, are you Tim? But yeah, I mean, just such a fabulous, wonderful, wonderful guy. I'm sorry to gush, but let me tell you something. If you don't like the Sabenza, I would implore you to. I've always wanted one, but I never. It was always that Grail. It was just out of reach. And when I was finally able to get that one, Nate, one of the other buyers, I'm actually going to his house tonight for a little local knife community meetup. But Nate saw this, he bought it, and he's like, Dallas, I got you this knife, you owe me $400. I'm like, whoa, what? Sorry, this is my trick here, what'd you say? But, I was able to trade him some knives and whatnot to get this knife. And I'm not saying it's the end-all knife. I'm just saying it's a grail knife on purpose and for a reason. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. Anyway, my newest knife, and then what's in my pocket. That one, there's the fun one. TRM Three Rivers Atom. I've wanted a Three Rivers, a TRM, for a long time, and the Atom it fits my hand. And let me tell you something. I would say that's one of the sharpest, if not the sharpest knife that I've ever had or ever got sharp in my Sharpie life. No hang-ups. That thing, and it took me 15 minutes.
That's real sharp.
I did those edges. I got that Work Sharp Professional Precision Adjust Elite. I don't know. It's a big old name, but it's the new Work Sharp. And there's rumors there's another Work Sharp coming out. I don't know. Just I saw it on Reddit. I don't know. We'll see. I'm also the Work Sharp buyer.
Since when are you on Reddit?
I have a Reddit. I don't know what to do with it. I can read things, but it's called Reddit, right? So anyway, what? No. You don't talk smack?
Smack.
All right, what knife you got?
So this, George, go ahead. So this is the XL Corvid. That's got the bare hardware on it because it is a prototype that
That only Dallas can get.
You're right. Anyway, they're actually sending me the final production piece or parts to fix that one up. But that's coming in the next, I think, month or two. I'm not exactly sure. Keep an eye on the website. I think the listing is up and coming soon. We do have kind of a limited run of those coming. But that thing, so initially, it's a giant folding cleaver. But I'll tell you what, I've actually cut cake the other day. Yeah. Aaron used to cut cake. That's something you take camping. That's what
Maybe you do. I don't think I'd ever want to touch that. I flipped that once, and I don't. It's not bad.
Words.
It's not bad. It's
Words,
just it is
saying.
so far from my style.
It doesn't have cooties.
It does have cooties.
Listen here, East Coast. I'm just.
Oh, hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Anyway, and the current knife that I am, we're getting the hurry up. The current knife I'm gushing on is the Guardian Tactical Scout.
Well, yeah. I just
This
saw
is brand
one
new.
today. This is like it. It's Guardian Tactical, but they've kind of slimmed it down a little bit. I'm really liking it.
So it's about the same size equivalent to the 035, 035, 035. Stop it. This particular one here has the hand ground blade. So I guess it's a mid-tech, but there's only very limited one of these. They'll be up. I think they're either up or on the site now. There is a production run of these that is going to be going on in the next week or two. Go look out for those, man. This thing is, I mean, I've handled Hawk, and this thing here is probably one of the smoothest actions, and it finish and everything is just wonderful.
It's definitely the smoothest I've touched. That thing is insane.
And it also doesn't cost $1,400.
Yeah, but I mean, you get a Hawk. It's a Hawk. Let's be honest. No, but this Guardian Tactical is just it's fabulous. It's wonderful. Anyway, go check out. I think the listings are incoming soon. Go check out the website.
Guardian Scout. It's really good.
That's all I got.
All right. I guess next up. We'll
Any
get some
comment? Yeah, I think we
real
should
quick.
check some comments, and then Hayden, if you want to
See
go
what
first.
you guys are saying. Let's see.
Oh, 6:30.
Yeah. All right. Where are the comments at? Dude, this phone. Why are you being this way?
Is it your internet provider?
Oh, probably. Why don't they just let me on the Wi-Fi?
Did you try
here?
turning it off and on again?
Put it in rice.
There's something.
I used to work tech support. That was the most common
Bring
thing.
back the Black Widow Kalashnikov. Hey, Boker buyer, bring back the Black Widow Kalashnikov.
It's on its way. I can't say when because I'm really not sure. It has been ordered, though. It's on its way.
Better be here soon. Somebody, Austin Rose says, "What's y'all opinion on the Spyderco stainless steel police model? It's his favorite knife that he owned, close to the new purple sheepdog and his McBee. What do you think of that stainless steel police, though? You know the police, right?
Yeah, like the long, slim one.
Like 4.5-inch blade or something.
It's not my style. It's not my style, but I mean, if it works for you, well, who am I to judge? I mean, other than that thing, I will judge that all day.
I like the stainless steel handle on that one. I find with the police, when it's a FRN handle, I love the lightweight, but it gets a little blade heavy, and sometimes, like when you open your hand, the knife wants to fall out. But with that one, the stainless steel keeps it right in your hand, so I do like that.
It also shows
Yeah.
It shows like all the stories of what you've done with it too. It's like all the stainless steel and how shiny it is after like what if you. I don't know if you're in the police force or do anything in that kind of field, but I imagine all the stories of working with it and everything you've done with it is all over the handle scales and the blade.
Yeah. Yep. I'd agree. More comments.
Next one, favorite ballast song, go. Mine, Flytanium Talisong Z Tanto.
I would say that the lucha that I built out and then traded Theo.
Clearly, you didn't love it that much.
I'm not. Do I look like a ballet guy, dude? I can open the knife and I can cut a finger off. That's about the two things I can do with a ballet.
I don't really have a favorite one. Those things kind of intimidate me. If it's not simple to use, I just kind of put it back down on the table and let somebody else play with it. But I'm always open to learn to love a knife. So.
What about a kraken?
Yeah.
The crake raking.
It's a good one.
I love it. Or squid. Well, squid doesn't.
Squid.
Well, I mean, what's the other model? It just poofed out of my head. I'm on the spot.
The Nautilus? No, not Nautilus. What is it?
Son of a gun.
Tsunami? Typhoon? Which was it?
It just
Something like
poofed out
that?
of my head.
Remember
I
it later. We
apologize,
got to
guys.
hear from Theo.
I'm not a ballet guy.
I got two. The Crake Raken, love that thing. I think that's like an attainable one for me because it's not like the most expensive, but it like is a really quality piece. And then honestly, Forrest, your Henninger designs, the Telesto sounds so good. So good. I know that those are like really expensive, but when I got to handle them when they were in the marketing department, oh my goodness. That's my favorite.
Man. All right, Theo. I want to hear about your story.
Oh, this is Hayden's time.
Oh, all right. I want to hear about somebody's story. I just saw a comment from a nameless person that seemed a little, get on with it.
Was that our guy?
That was our guy.
So my last name is Thomas, right? So if you're deep in the knife community, you've probably heard the name. So the big names in the family are Darren Thomas, who's my dad. And then you've got Devin Thomas, who's just got into the Cutlery Hall of Fame at the last Blade Show Atlanta.
And a forger of very fine premium stainless Damascus as well.
Yeah, very, very amazing Damascus. So much so that growing up, if I saw a Damascus that wasn't his, I would think something was wrong. Just because, growing up, seeing that every time, you just get used to that right color, the cool patterns that, that only he could do. Yeah, and then his son, Laren Thomas, is my cousin. The creator of Magna Cut. We're all super proud of him. So yeah, that's my family.
Dude, that's quite the resume.
Yeah.
In fact, I think on your resume, your contacts, like your references were Darren Thomas, who's a custom knife maker,
Right.
and Laren Thomas, who made Magna Cut. We have a million exclusives. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite the name drop, Hayden.
I've been accused of cheating on the resume to get the job.
Okay, well, what was your first knife? I'm interested.
First knife. So it's one of my dad's. It's not his current design. He has a lot simpler one, but it has a Devin Thomas Damascus. I believe it's razor wire. It's also got the Damascus bolster. This is my dad did the machining, cutting all the parts. He etched the Damascus, made it all look nice. But yeah, it's an interesting story. From what I remember, it was around when I was 18. In my family, if you become an Eagle Scout, my dad would give you a knife. I did not become a Eagle Scout, and so I was like, well, I guess I don't get one of the cool knives, from the family. And he was like, one day in preparation for a knife show, he said, "Hey, I got this knife," and it was on my birthday as well. He said, "I got this knife. There's a few problems with it that I don't like. I don't want to sell it if it's got the problems. I want to keep the quality high for what I sell." And yeah, I got it, and then I've been trying to find whatever's wrong with it. I still can't. I hand the knife to other people. They can't find what's wrong with it. I actually asked my dad recently. He's like, I don't even remember.
And he has better things to do than find out.
Right. So yeah, it's just an awesome knife. It's really fun to play with. Yeah.
It's also just like a functional piece of art. That is such a nice piece there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bit of a perfectionist. If he doesn't like the look, he doesn't go with the design.
No, and Theo's 100% right. A functioning piece of art. That's something you can cut an apple with and then show off and be like, feel proud either way.
Right.
Also, what a cool story for your dad to have made it.
Yeah. Not a lot of people get the experience of growing up with knives, Ever since I was a little kid, I remember my dad making knives. He didn't always make flippers. He would make little traditional knives with several blades. I don't think they had Damascus. Maybe they did. Yeah, I remember watching him grind the blades or just use all the machinery, and I'd always say, like, I'll clean the knife shop if you give me like $5, and so I just clean it all, and I just watch him work on it. Yeah, they were just gentlemen, slip joints, nothing too crazy.
So it sounds like along the way you've developed a very sharp eye for precision cutlery, like the finest of the fine. So I know we've asked. I mean, my favorite knife's the Cold Steel. Is the Sebenza. You have. It is in your genes to see the very premium of a knife. So what is your favorite? Because I'm gonna have to buy one because it's probably one of the best knives in the world.
Right. So other than my dad's, I really like Chris Reeve.
It's a twofer.
Yeah. It's I don't know, just when I went to the facility with my dad, we toured I think last October, I believe it was. Just every little detail they had thought of, and they made sure it was perfect. Yep. There's a lot of things, like when I look at some production knives, like the edge will be a little off, which isn't a super big deal, right? That can be fixed. Somebody that knows how to sharpen, somebody who knows how to do edges, right? They can fix it. But with them, it just is perfect. So yeah, I don't know. I just love it. It just feels good. All the little details, like how things line up when it's closed, when it's open, fits your hand. And with knives, it's really hard to get a knife that fits every hand, right? Because you got people like me with small hands, and then you got people like Dallas with huge hands.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So something that just works for everybody is super rare. And yeah, I don't know. High quality.
See, and that's what I was talking about. Is you always know that the Chris Reeve, the Sebenza, oh, this is a great knife. This is a great knife. This is a great knife. Then you get one, get it in your hand, and you use it, and you're like, oh my gosh. It's not saying that any other knife can't be built better or anything like that. I'm just saying for the fit, the finish, yeah, dude. No, I get it. I'm with you. I'm with you, brother.
Right. So yeah, and then obviously I like it because of the Magna Cut too. Thomas family.
I'm fairly certain.
I gotta share the one about Magna Cut that's like kind of one of one. So Hayden's got like the one of one OG Magna Cut knife here, and you should definitely talk about it.
Yeah. So this is my dad's newer knife design. If you hold up the old one and the new one, you can definitely see the little differences. The new one's drop point, right? There's a little where the flipper tab would be is a little cut, so it's easier to get to the flipper tab. But yeah, so being in the Thomas family, knowing Laren, my dad being a custom knife maker, right? When they were testing Magna Cut, seeing how it would do, what knife makers needed to look for when making knives with Magna Cut, they sent some of the test steel to my dad, and he got to make supposedly the first folder Magna Cut knife. So it's a cool little piece of history, if assuming it is accurate, which it probably is.
So I'm fairly certain that the combined value of the knives you just handed to me, of the three of them, is worth more than either of my cars or both of my cars combined.
Maybe.
I
Yeah, I mean, my car's included with yours.
I know when Dallas came in, he had his box of knives, and he handed it to me. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the contents of this box are worth more than Jolene the Toothless Hoopty, also known as his Toyota Corolla.
Hey, she hasn't let me down yet.
She never will. She's just getting broken in, right?
Yeah, 270,000 miles. Yep.
All right. So you're fairly new to the Blade HQ family, though. Like, having worked here 2 weeks now?
I started last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, so a week and a half. Well, just so you know, we've loved having you. You've been an absolute pleasure to be on the team.
It's been fun.
And you showed me the knife you already bought, but I'd like to hear why you did.
So yeah, this is a Tactile Knife Co. It's a drop point. I love drop point. I don't know why.
It's because they're cool.
Yeah,
It's because they're cool.
they're absolutely cool. I think yeah, the design just looks more natural to me. Maybe I've just happened to see most of that type of blade growing up. But yeah, I wanted this one specifically because I like folder Magna Cut knives, and I personally didn't own any Magna Cut knives,
Tisk.
even being in the Thomas family, which is so weird. So I finally got that one. And I also just like the brand Tactile Knife Co. My dad talks about them all the time. I've looked at them a lot.
I love the milling pattern on this handle. Mentioning Les George again, it reminds me of some of his stuff where it's perpendicular to the blade, so that way it doesn't feel like an aggressive texture. It's going to chew up your hand, but you have a very solid grip that doesn't want to slide in either direction.
Right. And that goes back to my small hands, right? It's a smaller knife, but it fits my hands perfectly, right?
It's kind of funny that and the small 31 is about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if he has a style.
Yeah, maybe.
So if you guys have any like 3-inch drop points, Magna Cut steel, titanium handles, let Hayden know. He'll probably buy one.
I love that specific category. If this knife had a flipper, it would be a little bit better. But yeah, that perfect.
Yeah, and then you were telling me that you've been crushing on the Riotti Exo M.
Yeah. So
Riot, Rayate, Hattie, Riate. If you know how to say that, please tell us.
I don't think the owner knows.
So yeah, interesting story about this this brand. From my perspective, growing up, I would go with my dad to knife shows, regardless if he was selling or not. It's just fun to be at knife shows. If you've never been to one, you should go. There's just so many people in the knife industry that you get to meet. So many cool things about the culture that you get to see. So I remember years ago going to a knife show, and my dad was like, "Check out these knives," at the table, and I was like, "I have no idea what this is. This makes no sense." And he opened it, and I was like, "Huh." So that kind of stuck with me, and so fast forward to now, I'm working here, and we have a bunch of these come in, and I'm looking at them like, "Wow, that's awesome," because my family just likes knives, right? We don't really use the knives. We just like the knives. Like I see my dad have a knife, and he'll just sharpen it, cut some paper, and then put it away.
Do it again.
Yeah, it's just a cool knife. It's unique. Not a lot of other people would even consider making something like that, right? Just because it's kind of out there. Yeah, and then this one's a drop point with titanium handle. These are coming soon. I believe these ones specifically are tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
This is the standard one. We have these are like the standard ones. So we've got like micarta and G10 version, but we also have the Ulta ones that are our exclusives coming as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So one thing that you talked about with going to your dad's shows, like you mentioned that at one point you went to a show in Anaheim, and the rest of your family went to Disneyland, and you went to the knife show.
This is very true. It was a very fancy hotel that if you brought knives to the show, if you were a seller, you got like a discount on this fancy hotel, and so my mom's like, well, we got to go to Disneyland. But I was like, I don't really want to go to Disneyland for
My boy.
for another trip. We've done that enough, and so my dad was going for the knife show, and so I'm like, just let me go to the knife show. And so I got to go with him, walk around. It was really cool. I remember there was this guy that had known my dad and Devin, if I remember correctly, since they were 17. He had saw them at a knife show that they were selling at that age, and he had, I can't remember which version of the flipper of my dad's knife that he had, but he was using it. He's like, yeah, I've been using it for drywall. Could you sharpen it? I was like, ooh, it's a heavy use for such a beautiful knife. Which that really stuck to me, that you can have a beautiful knife and a really functional knife. It doesn't have to just, be one way or the other. So, yeah, it's an awesome experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited to work with you for a lot longer and hear more of these stories as they come out, because like growing up in the knife industry must have been a magical time. The happiest place on earth, dare I say.
Anywhere but Disneyland is the happiest place on my earth.
Yes.
I like Disneyland. Doing some comments.
Oh, you had it open. Oh, there you
I did. All right. They are great knives. Or Boker Keyhone. That is I came in the middle of a thread there.
No.
The Boker Keyhone is a great knife, though.
Yeah, it is.
Lucas Burnley design.
Yes.
Great knife by a great guy.
Oh, Lucas is a stud.
Yes. Also, rule number 9. I know there's some rules on the internet. Do I want to know what rule number 9 is?
Rule number 9. I think it's probably like a movie reference. I actually don't know.
Oh, okay.
No idea.
Sorry, guys.
Clueless.
Yes.
Come on. Find
This guy says, "Hey, I don't work at Blade HQ and I'm still broke."
I'm still broke too, and I work here.
Yeah. So we all work here and we're all broke. The difference is we have more knives and we're broke.
No, we don't. I don't have anything. I've not bought anything. Bought? Purchased?
This guy said,
Purchased.
"I couldn't work at Blade HQ. I'd go broke." It's a real thing. I have an uncle my wife has an uncle who works for Browning, and I bumped into him at SHOT Show, and I asked him, I'm like, "Hey, what's it like working a career in the outdoor gear industry?" And he says, without a second thought, "Your wife's biggest fear is that you're going to be paid in trinkets."
Yes.
Yep. There is some truth to that. Anyway, so rule number 9 is apparently never go anywhere without a knife.
That's my rule.
Yes.
Good
That's
rule.
also rule number 1, isn't it?
I may have accidentally broke that rule on day 1 at Blade HQ.
This guy rolls in without a knife, a Thomas without a knife, at a knife shop.
I was looking for that one with the Damascus. It was in a bag in the storage room, in the very nice case.
He caged the beast. Anyway, speaking of a caged beast, Theo, tell us about your story. How did you get into knives? How did you end up here?
So, me as a weird kid, if anybody that I like, so I definitely put like a Facebook post out before we started. And if anybody that I knew from high school is here right now, I was a weird kid. I would climb trees all the time. I was just whittling stuff. And like when I was a kid, I wanted to whittle stuff. And my parents got me like a little Victorinox. George, if you want to take that one. This is not the original one. I got this one when I graduated from 8th grade. That was a great gift from my parents. But I had an original one. And it was also the first one that taught me that you will actually harm yourself if you're not careful. And I have a scar on one of this finger from slicing myself open trying to cut a tent pole for some reason. It was a woody tent pole from Toy Story. I vividly remember this. Anyway, that was my first knife, and it got me into it, and I was like, oh well, I really want to get into more of it. Like, this is cool, but I'd rather have one knife that was dedicated to just whittling.
What, you don't like scissors?
Yeah, so scissors are great, but that's not going to help with that. So I looked around and I got myself a Gerber paraframe. And then once again, learning that knives can cut you really badly, my Gerber paraframe sliced through my pants and into my leg. And then I decided, no, I need a different knife. So the first knife that I was given as a gift would be my PM2. These are not the original scales. These are from S110V version, but I just swapped them because I like the color. But that was given to me as a gift alongside a Kershaw Echelon and Kershaw Cryo for Christmas because those are the ones that I researched. What George is gonna hate this because I bring it up all the time, but what got me when I first went from getting the Gerber and then being like, oh, I need a better knife than what I've got, I started researching and I came across the infamous Kershaw Tilt, which I love dearly and want.
And he'll tell anybody who will listen.
And I
how
will
badly
tell
he wants a
anyone
tilt.
who will listen because I love that thing so much. It's so cool. And it got me into knives in general. Like the two things that got me into knives were the Kershaw Tilt because I thought it was sick. And then Jeff Blofeld, like when he was Tough Thumbs and did all like the customization videos, I used to watch all of those. And I thought they were so cool. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could just buy a knife and then customize it. And then I followed him like going through making the first War Toads and then to the, I don't think it was the Buster, but I can't remember the name of it. The Buster's Snacks, I think, but maybe also Tough Thumbs had one. Regardless, I remember him doing those first ones and I thought that was so cool and it was really cool to like watch him progress. And because of that, I also, because he got me in the industry since we're doing pocket checks, I got myself one of the Slimfoots from Arcform because he designed it. And I was like, I can't buy one of his customs, but I can sort of give back to him for like introducing me into the industry some way. So I got myself a Slimfoot.
And you got the operator Slimfoot.
Yeah,
too.
the operator is cool. So I was like, that one's cool. It's available. I'm going to get it. And like, it felt for me to be like, oh, I can pay back a little bit to someone who contributed so much to my journey in this. So that's why I got the Slimfoot specifically. That's way down the line. That's while I've been working here. Backtracking a little bit. Jeff, Tilt. After that, I was like, okay, the Tilt's really expensive, and I'm not going to get that. But the PM2 is what people usually get. So I gravitated toward, yeah, it's like it's the meta, as George said. So it's, at the time, this was like over a decade ago, it was the Griptilian from Benchmade, or it was the Spyderco PM2. Yep. And I was like, PM2 looks cooler to me. I'm going to go with that one. And I've kept it since. And I've snapped the tip off and sent it off to Spyderco. And I've had it resharpened a million times. And I've changed out the handles. And the thing that's sentimental to me about it is the blade. So I've made sure to keep that as pristine as I can. But that's like the first nice knife I was given as a gift. Yeah. And then like from there, I have done stuff. Like I kind of got out of the knife industry. I was like super involved in it for a while. I had like my own Instagram account that was called Gotta Get Blades. So if I was ever following you or you ever followed me at some point, I think I had like 1,000 followers or something like that at some point. But I was like super invested in the industry, and then I just kind of fell out of it when I went to college because I thought it was weird, and that's not how you pick up the ladies in college.
And now he has more boots.
Yeah, I got more boots now, but I dropped out of college, and then I worked for the yellow and green logoed company. Shout out Nicholas Nielsen, also known as Boy Blue Jay. He was my supervisor there, and he and I like wanted to learn more about the product we sold when we worked at the knife counter there. And yeah,
I think that's where I got my median.
You very well may have. But like I worked there for a while, and it rekindled that enjoyment of knives, and it like kind of reminded me like, oh no, I still do like this stuff. It was just I decided to get out of it because I thought other people thought it was weird. But to me, it was like, this is really fun and enjoyable. I like this. And then when I went back to college,
They still think it's weird.
I mean, it's still weird, yeah. But when I went back to college, I was like, okay, I'm just going to bring my collection with me, whatever. I brought it with me, and I kind of grew it a little bit more. I don't have anything that I grew it with, though. But yeah, I grew a little bit more. And then when I graduated with my graphic design job, I saw Blade HQ was hiring. Graphic design degree. Saw Blade HQ was hiring. I applied. There was a whole wonderful process of trying to figure out why my emails were not getting sent to them, and it was because our emails eat zip files, don't send them. And then I got hired here. And when I got hired here, like I had the opportunity to work with George, and George and I had a lot of fun, like doing videos. Like when I first got here, and I still enjoy doing videos with George, but
I love it,
yeah, like it's been a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of
calm down.
opportunities to do stuff like when I was a kid and would watch Blade HQ and like learn all the information and go on the website, and like everybody knows Ben. Ben's a great guy, and he's who I watched originally because that was the time period when he was doing it, and I also saw some videos of Paul. Hi, Paul. But it's cool to have been able to go from there to here where I get to be in the videos and then do stuff like send ProTech silly logos of their own logo. And that's where I go to like my favorite knife, which is the gift from ProTech that George and I both received. We sent them if you don't know, he and I sent them a version of their logo called BroTech instead of ProTech, and they just sent both of us like kind of like a matched set of these Malibus. And I think, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong about this, these are the first Malibus that Blade HQ got in MagnaCut, so that was cool too.
I think they came in the same box as some other prototypes.
Yeah, it was sweet. Like it was completely unexpected. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody else over there. Thank you, Dave. I hope to meet you guys someday.
The ProTech team is family.
Yeah,
I
it was
love 'em.
awesome. It was.
They make such good knives.
Yeah,
too.
no, I got the Slimfoot because I was like, oh, like it's a ProTech too, and then
That
I
is
got
made
the
by
Malibu, and I
ProTech.
was like, this is just compounding how good this is. Like I have loved that thing so much. I've had the PM2 way longer, and like the blade shows it, but the ProTech has been beat to crap since I got it because I like it so much.
Theo and I
Yeah.
have an agreement, though, and that is when one of us dies, in the will, they must bequeath the BroTech to the other bro of the tech.
Yeah, we shook on this. This
So
is for real.
Yeah. We should have, like, cut our hands and then shaken with the BroTech.
Yeah, just like some. Oh
We have
my
a blood
goodness, like a
oath.
blood pack. Yeah,
That'd be
that would-
terrible.
oh my god.
But
video it.
But like, yeah, that's where the things are at now. Like, if we're talking about like the newest stuff we got, I got like a couple things from Wii. I had the fortunate opportunity to work with Wii, to do some design work for them, and not product design, but just design. And it was
designed the shirts and the coin at Blade Show.
yeah. I don't know if that was something I could talk about, but I did that. So in return they allowed me to pick some stuff from their catalog. So I got an Exciton, I got a Trogon. George and I just swapped blades because the all black version doesn't have the fuller.
I didn't need a fuller in my life, but Theo needed one in his.
I thought the fuller was sick, so I got to have the whole Brian Brown experience
Do you feel like your life is fuller now?
to the fullest. I'm living it to the
Get out.
fullest.
Dad jokes.
Yeah, but I mean, I saw a brother in need of a fuller, and I was able to provide.
Yeah, it was great. I'm glad that it was able to be swapped so smoothly. Dallas is dying.
I don't even get it, Dallas.
Moving on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think that I've had the enjoyment of working in the industry and being able to go from someone who like was super excited about doing stuff in the industry and like watching people do things to being able to contribute back. Like I've had a lot of people who've been kind enough to contribute their time back to me as well. So like Jeff, like I mentioned before, Tough Thumbs, like huge influence in that kind of space. And then there's other people like Snex, his like Snex design, like the
This is the knife he's been crushing on.
yeah, like I really like the Vision R because I don't remember the specific name of his original model, and I'm so sorry. It's like the EFT20 or something like that. But like it influenced like, oh, this is what can be done with a knife, and a completely like hardwareless knife that you can take apart with no tools was amazing to me.
And I like how that feature has kind of been kept on the Vision R because, like, it is like it's if you're going to meet this kind of a price point, you cannot have the level of detail that he has to tune every single part.
Yeah, those were crazy. There's only like 5 of those or something like that, which was amazing.
But you can pull out that lock bar and clean everything up, keep it nice and smooth.
Yeah.
No tools at all. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
and like Snex with his designs influenced me into being like I'm really interested in the industry. I want to do my own design at some point, and then people like Ben from Jack Wolf and Colby from Axial and TJ Schwartz, all 3 of those guys were really generous with their time. With like a personal project my own, they're really generous with their time to like let somebody who has almost no experience or clout in the industry be. They're very generous and showing me the ropes and stuff like that. It was really like there's a lot of people who have helped me get through this interesting industry as well as instead of just doing it on my own and like kind of figuring stuff out. There's a lot of people who are nice and lend their time to learn new stuff.
The designers, and when you get to meet the designers, I'm gonna butcher his last name because I really suck at it. Joe Magnifico, Yeah, I'm sorry. Amazing guy. Him, TJ. There's just a ton of these people that you meet, and they all have, especially when you go to the Blade Show. I keep talking about Blade Show. Blade Show West, by the way, is October 13th, 14th. Come out and see us. Yeah, for real. Come out and hang out. We will be there. But you get these designers around there, and you ask them. I asked one of them, "What is?" It was Lucas Burnley. I asked him. I said, "What got you to design the knife?" And we had like this huge discussion with everybody that was sitting there with us, these different designers. and they were all just talking about what got them into designing knives and building knives and how much they love meeting people that anyway, and new designers and stuff. Anyway. Sorry, we're getting the 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're over time, but I've had a lot of fun with you guys.
Likewise.
We should hang out and talk knives more often. Because we definitely don't spend way more time doing that than we'd ever tell our managers about. Anyway, thank you all for joining us this lovely evening. We hope you had a lovely National Knife Day. Peter, what does this mean? Oh,
Yeah, read the comments.
we'll read it some comments. All right, let's see. Philip Logroy, can I work at Blade HQ? I think we're hiring right now, aren't we? We have a few listings open. Yeah, go apply. We'd love to have you. You'll have to. I mean, I think we have some great applicants for one of them at least, so we'll see. Would love some knife tube personalities on the couch next to George. Knife tube personalities. I'd like to do. I mean, I'd love to visit with some of those guys. Aaron from Gideon's Tactical is one I want to make a video with.
He seems like a cool guy. Like a lot of his content's like just interesting to watch.
Yeah, I see a lot of myself in him. He's a dad with kids. He's a good guy, and I don't think there's a guy on the internet who's reviewed more fixed blades than him.
No. What about Pete from Cedric and Ada?
Now that would be a good time.
That would be a riot, dude. That would be a dang good time.
And we'd have to fly him all the way from Australia or do like a Zoom call, but that would be awesome.
How about we go to Australia?
Okay, that would be sick too. Yeah. I'll just get bitten by a snake somewhere and just perish.
How do you pick the next dessert warrior? I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
It's a very sophisticated thing.
I get to mock them up. It's really fun. I'm not telling you what they are though.
The best part is it's very sophisticated because we sit there and we go, let's do this one. It's sophisticated, trust me. There's science to it. There's nerdy stuff.
I would sell my soul for a Dessert Warrior 940 or even Malibu. Do you think that they would... I don't know. A Dessert Warrior 940.
I've heard that there might be something for a bug out. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I might have heard about some aftermarket part maybe being made.
I don't know.
We don't know anything. Plausible deniability. Just watch the website.
It was on Reddit.
It was on Reddit. All right. Well, we are almost 10 minutes over now, guys.
Sorry.
We could do this all night. This is a good time.
This is a great time.
All right. Well, we love you all. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you on the next one. We're going to still be talking about knives.
Peace.
Love and rock and roll.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Rule number 9.
All right. We'll see ya. Rule number 9.
I love it.
Such happiness and joy.
As soon as Roman gives us...